Hello, good people out there in podcast world, cyber world, and radio world. If you happen to catch the playback and you were listening to WTLB, this is broadcast Transfer Radio, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm your host, Marcus Hart. We got a very special guest in the virtual building. He's way far, and I'm way near. Wherever you are. So we're going to be talking about some very important subject. Some wellness tips for the winter blues. I know everyone's struggling with mental illness. I myself have struggled, and this young man has also had the opportunity to overcome these things, and he's a Goliath to the things that he was able to overcome. So sit back, don't go anywhere. Some of you guys probably peeked at the description already, so you already know what's on the way. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I present to some, and reintroduce to many others, Mr. Michael Gibson. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, just having a rainy day here in San Diego.
Is it really raining?
Yeah. It's a rarity, but we get it every
Yeah, yeah. So that's like a lot more. That happens a lot more in the winter, then, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we were last week while everybody else was having a blizzard. We were 85 degrees. So
Okay, well, I know where I need to be at then. So
yeah,
yeah,
I
because
can't
man,
complain about a little rain.
oh my goodness, it was terrible, and no sunlight whatsoever for a couple of days, and we finally got some sun. But you go outside and like, hey, it's not summer, So yeah, so Mike, like people may know you, but in your own words, give us a little introduction, man, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Like,
Yeah, my name is Mike Gibson, retired NFL player, played 6 years in the NFL, was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, spent my first year there, spent 3 years in Seattle, and then finished my last two in Arizona with the Cardinals. Um, yeah, I mean, so I'm somebody who came from a broken home, I guess you could say. Um,
yeah.
Somebody whose family struggled with a lot of issues, like a lot of people out there. Um,
Mhm.
and I think I used athletics and sports to kind of keep me away from that. Um,
Right.
and that's why I feel like I became so successful, right? Is I was an individual who wanted to stay away from everything from certain things that were going on at home. And,
Mhm.
ultimately I became.
Yeah, man, I think you're speaking to a huge choir of individuals who struggle with like the family home base, and and having a lot of people in their family or just in their environment. You talk about the
Mhm.
neighborhoods that you grow up in, and it's rough, man, and it's like, okay, what do I do? Who do I turn to for guidance? What where's my outlet? And you found it very early on, and you ran with it, and you made it into something.
Mhm.
Um, Now, when you look back and you have some contrast between you know the life you were living in the NFL versus back home, were there times or even moments where you were able to draw back on some of those past experiences, and it's like, okay, you know it was tough during this particular time when I was here, but now that I'm here, there's new challenges. So were you immediately able to like draw back and recall how you got through those things, or did it take some time? And like we're going to discuss like a little bit later. Some of your own struggles.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been able to draw back on things that happened from my childhood, right?
Mhm.
And certain things that I wanted out of life, or certain things I get in a situation like, man, my childhood was much worse than this, right? It's like,
Right.
well, I was like a short and fat kid growing up, right?
Okay.
And so I got made fun of a lot, right? And so, like, for me,
Right.
always going to the gym, always working out. Um,
Mhm.
that's something because I didn't want to be that short little fat kid, right? So
Right.
every team I played on, everything I did, I was always usually the strongest guy on the team or one of the strongest, right? And one of the more athletic guys. The beauty of it is for me is like because of things that were going on as a child, right, or
Yeah.
as a young adult too. Like I played football, basketball. I tried baseball. I wasn't no good at it. Right, ran track. Like I was always doing something to occupy myself. Right, and it's. I mean, my grandma could tell you when I was an infant, man, I'd cry when they turn off my football. When I was 6 years old and I watched my older brother play football, I fell in love, man. So by the time I was 8 years old, I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and that was tough. I'm from a small town, Napa, California. Not very many
Right.
people get that opportunity to go and do those things, and so I was a very determined individual, even up until when I was playing.
Yeah.
And my whole thought process was like I didn't want to go back to that, like what I had grown up. I didn't want that life.
Yeah.
So it was easy for me to look back on it, not want to do that. I've gone through trials and tribulations even now, to this
Okay.
day, 5.5 years sober, kind of drawn back on what my life was like 5.5 years ago. I don't
Mhm.
let it get to where my life wasn't manageable at all whatsoever. So
Right.
looking back now, it's I just play the tape. If I go back to drinking, drugging, like look what my life is going to turn into because I know it's going to
Yeah.
it'll turn bad. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. It might, but I know it's going to turn bad eventually.
Yeah, that's really heavy and it's really intense. And what strikes me the most out of everything that you just laid out for us right then and there is just that mentality of like telling yourself like, hey, I don't want to go back. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
go back to this. A lot of people they will rather kind of push it to the side. They won't even acknowledge that like there's even this thought kind of brewing in their head. They're like, okay, I I came from here, but like this is where I might fall. You know,
Mm-hmm.
instead they try to go willy nilly like everything's okay, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not. And sometimes it's okay. You got to acknowledge what's not working for you, what's wrong, and also acknowledge that like, hey, although I'm right here in this moment right now, I can be a lot worse. I can go back,
Yeah,
go
and
backwards.
with the snap of a finger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm one mistake away.
Mhm.
And what drives me is looking back on what that life was like,
Yeah.
looking back at sleeping in my car because that's what it had come to. Not like
Yeah.
my dope car, not like my sweet
Mhm.
car. It was a GMC Jimmy. You know what I mean? Where the back
Yeah.
seat laid down so that I can sleep in that thing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm sleeping in some tour bus.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping in the back of a 1990 GMC Jimmy because that's
Right.
all I had. So it's very easy for me to look back and reflect and go, yeah, man, it's having that one drink or that one lapse in mental health. It just ain't worth it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm constantly exercising it. It's like the gym for me.
It's
Always got
got
to be
and
working it.
it's got to be a gym, and like when you think about mental health, they put the word health in there for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just like physical health, you take care of your physical body,
Yep. You got to
so
practice.
you got to practice. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely. And for you, and I might be going backwards from what you're doing now, and although we can go, we're definitely going to go to the
Yeah.
past, but the what what works for you in terms and like in terms of just when you get into like those dark moments and like you feel yourself kind of spiral and so for a lot of us like people who are overcoming and have tools in the toolbox
Mm-hmm.
it may be something you might have learned that you grab added to the toolbox so what was it for you what works for you.
Just close mouth, don't get fed. Open your mouth,
Hmm.
talk to people. It's so hard to. I understand, I get it, like not wanting to say something because like to
Yeah.
this day, I still, when I talk to people, when I talk to my sponsor in particular, when I talk to them, I feel like sometimes that I'm being a burden,
Yeah.
right? Because maybe what I'm saying is, they're busy in their lives, they don't have the time to talk to me, right? That's what goes through my head before I make that phone call,
Yeah.
right? It's like, oh, I don't want to burden them with my thoughts, or maybe it's, I may be making a mountain out of a molehill, right? But
Mhm.
the reality of it is like individuals out there, right? Whether that's your mom, your dad, your sponsor, your best friend, or even your significant other, right? Me personally,
Yeah.
I try to keep it away from my significant other because I let her in, like, hey, I'm not feeling right, but I don't let her know the details, right? Because
Right.
relationships can be heavy, right?
Yeah.
So that's just me in particular. But just having somebody to talk to.
Mhm.
Majority of the people that I speak to and call if I have an issue, they have my best interest at heart,
Yeah.
and they're there to help me, right? Even though I feel like a burden,
Yeah.
I'm not a burden to them, right? My life is worth it to them. So find those people. One thing I did in early sobriety was I had a list of people, and I called them before. Hey, Grandma, I wanted to let you know that you're in my top 5 list. So if I call you or
Yeah.
send you a text saying 911, that means I'm not right up here,
Mhm.
right? Or I'm not right in my heart. Like I need help. So please pick up the phone, right? And you have that
Right.
list of 3, 4, 5 people, and you call them and let them know. You call them and let them know. That way, when you're calling at 10 o'clock at night, and they know that they should pick up that phone call, because something ain't right. So have that list of 5 people that you can count on.
Yeah.
And you have that list of 5 people just in case 1, 2, 3, and 4 don't pick up the phone.
Right.
So have that list of people, call people, man. I mean, it's where humans are designed for human interaction, and that's why I think not this Zoom interaction, that the Zoom era that we have due to COVID.
Yeah.
That was great for people like myself in recovery. Having that outlet to speak with people, but we're designed for human contact.
Right.
So have that human contact with people, and don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to open your mouth.
That's real important, and especially like playing in team sports all your life. You start to learn to trust like the player to the left and the right of you.
Yep.
It, and and I mean I can easily like cross reference that with like my time in the military. Um, it's very hard for man to develop new relationships, develop new friendships, to break down that barrier and begin to trust people. And but like you said, sometimes it's only five. You only need five, 4 to 5.
Mhm.
4 to 5 people that you can trust, and like that makes me think about that old T-Mobile thing, the Fave Five. So
MySpace, all that
yeah,
T-Mobile.
MySpace, yeah, yeah. But it was, but that made sense though. Who can you call, and that's great. That's great tip, and that's great idea. And when you think about your sponsor, just your sponsor alone, it's that person has to be like the captain of the football team. For
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, I know I'm a burden to him. I
yeah,
know that for a fact. You know what I mean? Like he, yeah, he's the best though. I mean, that man saved my life.
yeah,
Saved my life. And you know what's crazy?
mhm,
Marcus is him and I have nothing similar in common other than the fact that we are both in recovery.
yeah,
You know, he's from an area. I mean, he's tattoo. He's from an area that's much different than mine.
mhm,
He's got tattoos up and down his neck. When I met him, he only had like 2 teeth. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
now he's got a nice full set. He's living large. But that's the beauty in it, right? Is
right,
he'd been to prison a bunch. I'd never been to prison. You
mhm,
know, and the only thing that we were relatable on is recovery. So I thought, right? And then you
right.
go on and do your step work and stuff like that, and you get to know the individual, and they get to know you, and you realize that we had a lot more in common than what we really thought. And for me, without God and Him, there ain't no chance. There's zero chance I'd be here speaking with you today.
Yeah, I'm glad you put in God. A lot of people. I definitely suggest like some type of form of spirituality. Spirituality can look different for everybody, and it sounds like you really have like incorporated that a lot into just your daily walk here.
Mhm.
Uh, just going back now we're gonna walk back. Now we kind of switching tracks a little bit.
Yeah.
Now looking back here, you stepped into a treatment center,
Mhm.
correct? Uh, you mind sharing like what kind of led you to like kind of make that decision and say like, man, you know what, I need a full team.
Yeah. I mean, I went to 6 treatment centers.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's all right.
so I didn't get it the first time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And relapse is a part of my recovery, but it doesn't have to be a part of everybody's. I know plenty of people who have gone to treatment once, but plenty of people who have never gone to treatment, right?
Yeah.
Um, but for me, that's what I needed. I found out very quickly that like I'm beyond human aid.
Mm.
My pride, my ego. I thought I was terminally unique um,
Yeah.
due to my previous profession, due to what I thought was, status. You know, so what led me to treatment? Uh, the first 5 times I did it for other people. First time
Okay.
5 times I did it for my wife. I did it for, my grandma. I did it for my family. Never once did it myself until my last time that I went to treatment. And that's when life got really real for me. Like I said, I
Yeah.
mean, I played 6 years. I made plenty of money. By the time I retired, I had no money. Uh, I had my house was getting foreclosed on, so I was able to sell that quickly.
Hmm.
Sold all my cars. At that point, I was stealing from my family, going to pawn shops and stuff like that. So let me go to treatment was I had no place to live. I was homeless. And didn't have my car near me, that GMC Jimmy that I had.
Yeah.
Literally, only thing I had, I couldn't get a bank account. I couldn't get nothing. My family was paying my cell phone bill. All I had was 2 bags, one full of clothes, and the other one was full of shoes. The shoes I got free from a Nike deal, and and that's
Yeah.
what I was broken. I was broken both physically, emotionally, spiritually. Was a broken individual that needed help and would do everything he could at that point to get help.
Hey, and that's usually the breaking part, when you have like gone so dark, where like, okay, if I don't start helping myself,
Mhm.
and start doing and do this for myself, there's not gonna be no more of me.
But the crazy part is I was attracted to the darkness,
Mm.
right? Like
Right.
that for some reason that lifestyle, had carried over from when I was playing to going to like
Yeah.
clubs, to going to
Yeah.
Vegas, every other weekend, sometimes multiple weekends in a row, to like transitioning into the streets.
Yeah.
I'm in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, in the middle of the night trying to score dope. And to me, that was attractive, right? That's part of the game. That's the adrenaline rush and yada yada yada. And that's what I was attracted to at the time because when I was done playing football, what was my identity?
Mm.
That's what I struggled with, right?
Yeah.
And working in the recovery field, 99% of individuals that go to treatment struggle with something else.
Right.
The alcohol and the drugs are just a symptom of ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So like I was struggling with a lack of identity, right? Depression, anxiety. So I was using drugs and alcohol to cover up those feelings. So,
Yeah.
and the best example I can give to somebody is this: like, you have a family member that passes away, or your girl breaks up with you, right? What's the first thing you do? Oh, I need a drink because you don't like the way you feel.
Right.
So you're gonna, I need a drink so that you can cover up those feelings, right? So, majority of the people that go to treatment have some sort of mental health issue that they're struggling with. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's a depression. Sometimes it's bipolar, schizophrenia, personality disorder. There's other things that go along with it, one extreme to the next. But like I said, 99% of the people that I work with, they always have some sort of mental health issue.
Yeah, that's very true because it's a large population that's undiagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, as we speak, and when we talk about like what the pandemic has done, and and a lot of these other things that happens in mainstream media, There's a lot of people that's just experiencing some light trauma, and that trauma, definitely usually shows itself in some type of unhealthy outlet. So, man, I'm glad, real glad you're here now, man, and that you got the help that was necessary for you,
Hmm.
and and the real big one is the lack of identity. Without purpose, there's just there's no direction. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where you're headed.
Hmm.
The playbook is ultimately like non-existent. We just winging it at this point. You know,
And they don't prepare you for it.
no, they don't. They don't.
They don't prepare you
Uh,
for it at all.
mhm. Is that something that like you looking to advocate for a little bit more? Is just because like there's a lot of professions where when people especially man we retire, it's like, okay, what else is next?
Yeah. No, definitely. It's there's a few things that I advocate for in
Mhm.
regards to, um, not only workforce but like professional sports as well, right? So, and it's the NFL is a very hard thing to penetrate. I've been able to communicate with like the former Players Association, but like the
Mhm.
Players Association and the NFL in particular, right? They cover their eyes when it comes to this stuff. So
Yeah.
trying to bring it to the forefront and speak to about it because it's a real thing. I saw it, I witnessed it, uh, I was a part of it, right?
Right.
And when my family when I my family tried to get me help, right?
Mhm.
They called the Players Association. They called the teams that I played for. They
Yeah.
called um, the former NFL Players Association and said, "Hey, like they called the insurance company, right? Like, hey, what do we need help?" And not one
Mhm.
of them could give me a resource, right? And so,
Right.
um, and this I work with people on the daily. The employers people go to their employer. They go to their HR department. Hey,
Yeah.
I have to struggle, whether it's mental health, whether it's substance abuse, right? I need help. Okay,
Mhm.
we'll find it. They don't have resources for the individuals.
No.
So, and I've gone to, hospitals. I've gone to doctors' offices. I've gone to places of employment. Said, hey, I want to become a resource for individuals struggling, and they just turn their blind eye to it. Right? They don't want anything to do with it. Oh, we don't have anybody like that. Come on, man. Come on. Like
Yeah.
both you and I know you're lying because the reality of it
Right.
is somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
never know when that's going to happen to you. Um, I've not only been to treatment, but I've seen people come into treatment with all different types of people.
Hmm.
This disease does not discriminate. You know, the
Yeah.
mental disease of mental health doesn't care who you are, what you've done, where you're from, how much money you make. So the lack of resources um, is something that I'd like to see change.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, because now you got individuals who, like you said, like you were one of those individuals, like you didn't know what you're supposed to do. Like,
Hmm.
okay, what is the path towards getting some help, and man, it's it. Although you hear a lot of talk about mental health, there's still not enough being done to kind of make it more accessible and give some direction and some tools to people who need it.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Better. It's better than what it was 5 years ago when I went through it. You take my up it. Um,
Mm.
you, I think a lot of these celebrities coming out with it,
Yeah,
just the fact that they're acknowledging it has definitely helped out. Not only other people that have gone through the same thing as well.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So when we talk about um, just and I definitely want to come back to this, and then we're gonna and then I got one last question for you to kind of bring everything back together here. Uh, when we talk about like just the identity crisis, man, and just the feeling of like what's my value now in this world. Um, when you was going through treatment, was that like kind of like something that kind of organically happened for you to kind of rediscover like what your purpose was here and what you should be doing, or did it like come shortly after and you kind of work with your sponsor and some other important mentors?
Yeah, I mean, I the last time I went to treatment for 4 months.
Okay.
The five other times I went for 30 days, right?
Yeah.
And I went to this treatment center. It was an all men's faith based treatment center here in San Diego, 160 acres in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
Generators and well water. Unlike anything that I'd ever done, I don't
Mhm.
on the like high end facilities, where they got
Yeah.
their own private chef, they got all this stuff like that, right? And
Yeah.
it's like almost like a vacation in reality.
Hmm.
Um, but I go to this place and they make is a big serve me a big dose of humility,
Yeah.
which hey, I'm that's the best teacher in the world right there is a little bit of
Right.
humility, right? And which is what I needed at the time. And I spent 4 months there. I did everything they asked me to do. I kind of dove into it, right? I still didn't know what I was going to do, where I
Hmm.
was going to go, and after my 4 months there, I went into a sober living and an outpatient program for 30 days, and I had to get on food stamps, right? I tried to get all
Yeah.
this aid that I could receive because I needed it desperately, right? I didn't have a job. I had
Hmm.
no income. My family wasn't giving me money because I burned them so many times before, and so I continued to do well there for the 15, 20 days. I planned on doing that for like 6, 7 months. And
Right.
after about 20 days, I got a phone call from the treatment center that I was currently at and that I went to. And they actually called me and said, "Hey, we want to offer you a job."
Hmm.
And, sure, let's go. I'm down. I don't care what it entitled, how much money I was making. For me, it was, hey, this is what I need right now. And
Right.
talk to my sponsor, pray on it. But in reality, I've been praying for that for the last 5 months. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I started working there making minimum wage. And, then they said, hey, we have a double wide trailer. Do you want to live here? And it was me and one other person in this double wide trailer. It's
Hmm.
2 bedroom, 2 bath house. By far the least amicable property I've ever lived in. Right, like,
Right.
but I loved it. I was so grateful for it. The fact that I had my own place again, considering where I
Yeah.
was at the time. 6, 7, 8 months ago, and I loved it. And I lived up there for a year. Ended up moving in with my wife afterwards, and
Okay.
and had to have a roommate. Can't afford an apartment in California without a roommate.
Yeah, it
At
really
the time,
matters.
right? Making minimum wage.
Like
um,
$2,400 for a studio.
yeah, I had a 2 bedroom, 2 bath that I was paying
Yeah.
$3,400 a month.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's pretty wild. And so, anyways, yeah, so I did that, and I thought, how can I progress in this, right? I want to be able to. Somebody had to pick up the phone for me when I called to try to get help. How do I get
Right.
that job? And so, which is what I do now. And I've been doing that for the last 4.5 years. And so I speak directly with families and speak directly, um, with the clients in particular, and work on getting them into treatment. So my purpose happened organically, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, man, I'm beyond human aid. There's only one person or one entity that can help me, and that's my higher power, right? And
Right.
that's I encourage people, hey, find a higher power. I don't care what it is, who they are.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I just know what works for me, and God is what worked for me.
I love it. I love it, man. That's really incredible. What if and such a fascinating. You know, s- it's not even an end to the story. It's just still
Hmm.
just your beginning.
Yeah.
There's more on the way for you, and I'm just really happy for you, man. And I get because when you hear about these stories, man, some people don't return back, and or people go back. They find themselves right back in the treatment center. So and that's okay too.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's okay to take a step back, and it's just so you can spring forward, and go forward again.
Hmm.
So real incredible stuff. So I, one final question for you, man, and you know it's and I think it's in terms of just this is the toughest part of the year, holidays, um, New Year's, coming up, so there's gonna be lots of drinking,
Mhm.
lots of drugs, like, and then and people are easily gravitating towards it because like someone might have like be celebrating a death anniversary. It could be anything, somebody might just recently lost somebody, it's a lot of things that kind of open these doors up, So what would be your tip for people during these times?
Well, we'll go back to the top five, right?
Yeah.
Have your top five. The other thing is surround yourself with people that have your best interest at heart,
Hmm.
right? I have plenty of friends and plenty of people that I know, right, that hold me accountable, right?
Right.
And I'm pretty open about my sobriety and my substance use, right? And
Hmm.
previous substance use and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So um, I'm pretty open about it. So like I have a lot of people that are around me that, and I typically I surround myself with people that are in sobriety, and if
Okay.
I don't, then I surround myself with somebody who is in sobriety, right? So that they can be like, hey, dude, you need to like, what are you doing? Like, so they check me, right? Not
Yeah.
only for like possibly drinking, right? But the other thing is shifts in my attitude. And, if I start getting arrogant or cocky, right? And then I might get in
Mhm.
that whatever it is. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I can have that drink, right? So
Mhm.
it sounds totally dorky, but like an accountability buddy, we call them. Right? Have an
Yeah.
accountability. So have somebody who's going to be there to hold you accountable. Uh, have your top five so that you can call somebody and say, hey, like I'm thinking about drinking or I'm thinking about, doing something that I normally don't do. Um,
Yeah.
and surround yourself with people who have your best interest at heart. Like I said, I know
Yeah.
plenty of people who will go out and they'll be like, hey, man, like you can't let me drink tonight. And then 5 minutes later, they say, hey, bro, take this shot. Like, bro, don't you know I'm in
Yeah.
sobriety or I'm trying to stop drinking? And the
Yeah.
reality of it is that individual, you know what I mean, is going to be the one that ends up getting.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm surrounding myself with.
Yeah, well, man, that's definitely incredible, and that's valuable information. Like, if we put that in the playbook, we gonna win the Super Bowl.
Yep.
every
Yep.
year, we win the Super Bowl every year. So I love it. Speaking of the Super Bowl, you got to pick. You got a favorite.
So I'm gonna go with my man Andy, right? So I played for Andy
Okay.
with the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm gonna go with
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
I'd actually like to see the Chiefs and the Eagles, man.
That'd be
I truly
nice.
would. I
Yeah,
truly
that'd be
would.
nice.
So
Yeah.
I don't know if Dallas has the power to take over Philadelphia. It depends on if Jalen Hurts comes back healthy or not.
Hmm.
Um, I like Joe Burrow too, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe's the man.
I like Joe. There's
Yeah.
some, since
Yeah.
college, there's something about him I can sit there and
Yeah.
watch him all day. The guy's tough as nails. So, I mean, the AFC is tough. The
Yeah.
NFC not so much, but the AFC is tough.
Yeah, it was a lot tough. Like it's loaded. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's gonna go back to the AFC this year. So
Yeah, I think so too.
I got a large feeling about that.
Yeah, unless they beat up on each other too much.
Yeah, that's going to be the only reason why. Yeah,
Yep.
like, man, real incredible, man. Well, thanks a lot, Mike. For joining us. Like, this has really been incredible. To be able to have you here, and to be able to talk with our audience, and just share a peek of your story, and also provide some tips. In terms of like, are you on social media still, or
Yeah. Yeah, I
okay,
am. If you can look me up on Instagram at mike.gibson69.
okay.
And then I'm also on Facebook as well. Um, Mike Gibson. I probably got a softball picture up there. I play a lot of softball, sober softball, travel around the country and play softball, man. I love it. Keeps me feeling young.
Nice, yeah.
Yep.
So that baseball career didn't work out, but you found softball.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
That's usually the route to go.
Yeah. Hey, they transitioned from one addiction to the other, right? I went from,
Yeah,
substances to playing softball, man. I love it.
Yeah, incredible, man. Well, thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls out there. And I do see that we got someone who like they did reach out during the time. Somebody is going through some stuff right now.
Mhm.
Parents just recently divorced. So we get everybody to listen in. They argue every day who will take me, and I cry underneath my pillow. I'm only a piece of dirt that needs to be walked on. Well, young man, Mike, did you want to say something to the young man? Uh,
Yeah, I mean it's a hard thing to do, but it's simple, right? Pick up the phone and call somebody. There's multiple services out there that'll help
yeah,
you. Um, you can Google services specifically in your area. Um, like I said, you can contact me directly on Instagram or Facebook. Um, and I'm more than open to do that. I work for a treatment center, so I'm able to get you the help that you need. And a lot of the time there's fear about leaving your area, but the reality of it is I know for me growing up, like I was always looking for an escape, right? And
yeah,
getting out of the area was the best thing for me. So, pick up the phone, call somebody. There's people out there that do love you.
yeah.
Find me on social media. You can reach out to us on at mhcsandiego.com or healthyliferecovery.com.
Right.
And they have online forms that you can fill out there. Our 1-800 number is on there as well. So feel free to reach out to us.
That's incredible, man, and thank you for being available like that to address one of our audience. Who had a live question. It wasn't so much a question, but it seems like they've been a bit.
Yeah.
And again, this is real tough. It's tough part of the year for everybody, and it's like I said, man. Just having that team around you is
Hmm.
important, and finding where the other part of that team is. It's continuous, and but we do need to talk. So
Hmm.
talking is the first step, and I'm glad this young man was able to do that. So thanks again, Mike. So, ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you do share this episode right now with someone someone you don't know, as it does help to further the messaging. Um, Feel free to replay this back a couple of times over and over. If you missed something, Mike's details will be dropped in his Instagram and Facebook. We'll drop that in the episode description of the playback for many of you guys who might want to reach out and follow Mike. If you have something directly, to ask him, he said you can DM.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Pick
it's
up that phone,
incredible.
man. There's people out
Yeah,
there that are going through the same things that you are, and there is help out there.
yeah, incredible. Well, thanks again, Mike. So just hold briefly here. We're gonna run this C row to the B row. So,